right, as I am recording this video, it is near the end of June, and this may be my last video in this series. I'm still working on the same. It's taken me a whole month, maybe. I don't know when these videos are posting, maybe, to drink this soda. Good stuff. Whew, as they used to say, that'll put hair on your chest. Hey, Per Professor Dungeon Master, I have decided to talk about independent RPGs during the month of July. Sort of in response to some tomfoolery that went on with a certain unnamed, except that I named them sort of in the last video, but a certain unnamed company that did a bunch of devious and weird and obnoxious things last year into the beginning of this year. And, give them time. I'm sure they will find some new things to do. We're going to talk about some independent games. And in the course of talking about independent games, as I have mentioned in some of the previous videos in this little series, I am going to be generous in what I count as independent, basically referring to things that are not from that company. And to that, I'm actually doing a little twofer today. I'm going to talk about Call of Cthulhu. This is if I had to pick. If I had to pick just one tabletop RPG that was my favorite tabletop RPG, if I was forced to choose just one, it would be Call of Cthulhu. I've mentioned before, fantasy's not my genre. If I'm being honest, if I'm being 100% honest, horror is not my genre. Sci-fi is my genre. I love sci-fi. Now, here's where the twist comes in. My interpretation of Lovecraft, who is the main impetus for this tabletop RPG, but my interpretation of Lovecraft is as a science fiction writer. I think of cosmic horror as a genre of science fiction. I'm not going to go into that at length here. I think I've talked about it before in a couple of videos. I know I wrote a blog post about it on my blog way back when I first started. But whatever the case, I love cosmic horror. I love the existential dread. I think not only does it tap into things that I find really fascinating, because it gets into things like astronomy, deep time, the size of the universe, physics, all of that sort of thing, which I think is just fascinating. But it gets into that existential dread. It gets into the fear of understanding our position in the universe, or that we don't really have one, that kind of thing. I don't know. I love it. Also, then on top of that, I really like the aesthetics. I like the weird monsters. I like the default setting of the 1920s. Yes, you can set it in the contemporary world. You can set it in the 90s, the 70s. It doesn't really matter. You can set it all over the place. There's all kinds of different supplements that'll help you do that. Middle Ages, Rome, all kinds of places. But the default primary setting is the 1920s, and I really enjoy that. I like that setting. I like the aesthetics of it. I like a lot of the interesting social and political things you can get into if you want to with it. I think it's great. What do you need to get if you want to get Call of Cthulhu? I did not take off my shelf the starter kit, the starter box set. That's the perfect thing to get to start. If you're curious what the game is like, get the starter box set. It's inexpensive. It's high quality. The books inside are a little flimsy. That's just the case. But look, you're getting more than what you're paying for, even beyond that. The contents of that box set are phenomenal. And it includes the rules. It includes, I don't think character creation's in there, but I could be wrong. But it includes the rules. It includes some pre-gen characters. It includes adventures. It's great. It's great. Get that box set. If you're curious, just get it, check it out. It even has a solo adventure that'll help you learn some of the rules. It's fantastic. You can also check out this. This came out earlier. I think this came out right around when they were first doing the current edition. And it's the Quick Start Rules for 7th edition. I'm not in love with this book. I think that they did a much better job with the box set. However, it's not bad. It's not terrible. It gives you an idea of the rules, gives you a basic set for what to expect. But more importantly, the thing that I like about it is it has the original Call of Cthulhu scenario, The Haunting. I also like that I believe you can still get the PDF of this free on Chaosium's website. That's great. Cheap is free is a great price. So Call of Cthulhu, quick start set if you want to just get a little taste, but I recommend the starter box set. If you're ready to take the plunge and you just want to get into it, you're like, I'm going to get that game. Keeper's Rulebook. This is all you need. This right here is all you need. This is the game. So you'll see that there's a Keeper's Rulebook and a Player's Rulebook or Handbook. You don't need the Player's Handbook to run or play the game. It's not like some other games I might mention where you need 3 big hardcovers before you even think about running the game. Nope. This book right here, some dice, some paper, you're good to go. Okay, you need a pencil or a pen or something, but you know what I mean. You just need dice and this book, and you're good to go. It's got all the rules. It's got some sample monsters. It's got, unless I'm crazy, it's got a couple of scenarios in the back. You know, all basic games should come with scenarios. Yep, it's got some scenarios in the back. You can run these, you can read these and get ideas and then write your own from there on. I didn't run pre-generated adventures for years as a GM. Not for any moral reasons. It is not about that. I don't think there's anything wrong with running pre-generated adventures, but I sometimes was doing games that didn't have them, or when I read them, I wasn't happy with what I read, to the point where I just wrote my own. Sometimes I would read them and be inspired by them. Oh yeah, the artwork, I love it. That's my guy. So anyway, Call of Cthulhu, great game. This would be, if I had to pick just one, it would be this one. And this edition is, I think, the best edition of it. I think it's just great. I think the update, it's the first time they ever did any real substantial changes to the rules. And honestly, it's still basic role-playing. It's still the same core mechanics. They're just, I think, better presented. And there are some things that have been tweaked to make things less confusing. The statistics thing, like now statistics are also on a percentage instead of before where they were on a scale of 3 to 18. And then everything else in the game pretty much was on that percentage thing. Well, now the statistics are also percentage, so that everything is a percentage. That just makes sense, you know. So 7th edition is great. Now, when I said it's a twofer, I didn't just mean because I had 2 Call of Cthulhu books and a box set that's sitting on a shelf behind me that I didn't bring out for this video. I also wanted to mention a really independent game. I had to get this on Lulu as a print on demand, and that is Gentlemen vs. Demons. Now, Gentlemen vs. Demons is clearly inspired by Call of Cthulhu and the basic role-playing system. It is, however, I would say an ultra slimmed down, not just in size, but also in the way the mechanics work, an ultra slimmed down version of the game that I think is, I don't know if it's necessarily great for beginners, but I think for people who have experience, and I say, when I say not great for beginners, I don't think it's complicated. I don't think it's difficult. I think the difficulty might come in because it is so slimmed down. You might, as a player, it might be better if you already kind of know what an investigative game is like. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm full of crap. I'm just talking off the top of my head here. But anyway, ultra slimmed down, and I think a little bit maybe more survivable than some, because it's not as, you're not quite as quickly killed, I think, in this. And so I have thought about using this. I've just recently actually run a scenario using it just as a test run, and I think it went great. But I've thought about using this to run one campaign in particular, and that is Horror on the Orient Express, which is sort of legendarily known as a meat grinder campaign. And I think that by doing some tweaks to the campaign itself and by using these rules, I think that possibly that would end up working out really well. But I would recommend Gentlemen versus Demons. It is not expensive. You can get the PDF, I think, for like $4 or $5 on drive-through, or you can get the print on demand for, I think it's like $10 or $11 on Lulu. It has some cool, I'm guessing, public domain art, and decent layout, everything like that. You can get the character sheet on the website. Here's the there's nothing important. Here's the website for the game designer, and here's the you can see the character sheet, which is all of the skills are basically summed up into here. All of your skills under arcane lore, anything related to arcane lore is under that skill. Anything under science is under that skill, and you pick the closest thing you could call it, like a career or a class or anything like that, is you just pick what is the thing that your character is focused on. They are focused on military skills, so anything that makes sense under military skills, whatever your skill in military skill is, you can roll that for whatever you're doing, be it tactics, military history, possibly, it wouldn't be combat because combat has its own thing, but whatever. Maybe even the equivalent of a credit rating, whatever fits under military skill. There you go. I think it's a nice way to simplify things and get things moving, particularly if you're going to lean heavier into investigation and less into combat. And I tend to try to lean heavier into investigation and less into combat when I run Call of Cthulhu, so why not? Okay, that's this video where I talked about Call of Cthulhu and Gentlemen vs. Demons. I highly recommend. I mean, it's the best. It's the best. I love it. I love basic role-playing. It's my favorite system. The only thing that even gives it a bit of a run for its money is Over the Edge, Warp, the second edition of Over the Edge. I think basic role-playing is just absolutely the berries. And I think the Gentlemen vs. Demons is a nice little sort of modified version of that, like a real clean, simplified version of it. It's not going to be the system I use for everything, but I think for the right Call of Cthulhu scenarios, I think it might actually be a better system for it. But that's this video. If you like what I'm doing here, check out the links below. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. I don't know if I'll have any more videos. This may be my last one for the independent talks during July. We'll see. I don't know. All right. Take care.